God bless America. Good morning, everybody. I'm the Talk Radio Protege. This is the Protege program. Thank you for joining me. I haven't decided if this is going to be the only video of the day. It probably won't be, but I had to get this out early. I have to talk about this now. Trump is dead wrong when it comes to this particular issue, unless this is another pump fake. You might remember when Trump had a meeting similar to this one that he had yesterday on immigration back a couple of months ago, he seemed to endorse a lot of the left's points and a lot of the left's proposals on immigration. And people were saying that Trump had sold out. Trump had switched sides. Trump was going with the Democrats on immigration. Only to, a couple of days later, a bill was put before Trump that didn't have any of the things that he said he wanted in it, and he turned that bill down. Now, I haven't read the entire transcript of this meeting, so it could be that I'm just making a knee-jerk reaction here, but based on what I've seen, there's not a equivalence between the immigration meeting and this one. The reason is I didn't see Trump saying, I have to have X, Y, and Z in my gun control bill before I give you, Democrat item A. In the immigration meeting a while back, Trump said he needed border security, he needed an end to chain migration, and he needed an end to the visa lottery in any immigration bill he signed. As long as he had those three things, he said, I'll sign what you send me. In this meeting, from what I have seen, Trump is abandoning concealed carry in the schools. He's endorsing taking guns away from people, as you see here, before due process. And as he has already indicated in previous days, he is looking for a ban on bump stocks, and in this meeting he also mentions that he wants an increase in the age limit on purchasing firearms. And I'm here to tell you, he's dead wrong. It shall never be said from this day forth that I never criticized President Trump. He's dead wrong on gun control on this issue. And I can walk you through each of those issues. I think I will. Let's start with the age limit. When do people leave their homes? These days, people are beginning to leave their homes later in life, but most people leave home at 18. Everybody, all men, have to sign up for the draft at 18. Apparently, President Trump thinks that at 18 you're old enough to carry a weapon in the military, but you're not old enough to carry a weapon for self-defense. A lot of states have already instituted, and I think it's federally as well, that you're not allowed to purchase any firearm until 18, and you're not allowed to purchase handguns until 21. Apparently, the federal government, and now President Trump, thinks that when you're 18, you're old enough to die for your country, but you're not old enough to defend yourself with a handgun or a semi-automatic long gun, in this case. Perhaps any weapon. And that doesn't compute with me. In my opinion, if you're old enough to die for this country, you ought to be old enough to do just about anything that you want. Maybe we ought to think about raising the age at which you have to sign up for the draft before we think about raising the age at which people have to purchase firearms. Number two, let's see, there was raising the age limit, abandoning concealed carry in the schools. We've talked about that extensively in previous videos, but to sum it up here, that would be returning the right to preservation of life to the teachers in those schools. In my opinion, it wouldn't even have to be abolishing gun-free zones, but it would mean expanding the definition of an authorized person, or at least putting in place programs that would enable people like teachers and staff and faculty to become authorized persons to carry firearms on school grounds. So we have raising the age limit, abandoning concealed carry. We have the big one. I want to save it for last because we're going to spend so much time on it. We could talk about the banning of bump stocks. You could make the case could be made, and I don't see why not make it. The average citizen ought to be able to arm themselves as well, if not better than, their potential assailants. So if an assailant is going to carry an AR-15 onto campus, and the AR-15 is the biggest, baddest, most dangerous gun in the universe, why not allow the potential victims of that kind of assault to arm themselves with an AR-15? After all, they're balanced and healthy individuals. We're not worried about them shooting up schools. It's the evil people, the crazy people, that we're worried about shooting up schools. Let's let the balanced, sane, healthy people arm themselves as well as the sickos. Now, let's talk about this. This is big. This is important. I have a feeling that everybody on the right of Marx is going to be criticizing Trump for this one. Maybe not some of our friends in foreign countries, but certainly everybody in the States. Take the guns first, go through due process second. This statement was prompted by something that Vice President Pence said. Pence said that families and local law enforcement should have more tools to report potentially dangerous individuals with weapons, allow due process so no one's rights are trampled, but the ability to go to court, obtain an order, and then collect not only the firearms, but any weapons. And if you think about it from the standpoint of a restraining order, like are acquired in family court, restraining orders are incredibly easy to acquire. A woman, especially for women, from what I understand, all a woman has to do is to be able to convince a judge that she feels like she's in danger, which from what I understand is not hard to do. So by the same token, why wouldn't it be as easy to convince a judge that I feel like this person is dangerous, therefore they shouldn't be allowed to own firearms? Well, there's already a monkey wrench in that situation. You don't have a constitutional right to be in the presence of a given person. Now, I don't have a constitutional right to be in the presence of my wife. For instance, if my wife wanted to take out a restraining order on me, I don't have a constitutional right to be near her. So it would be much easier to do that than to take out a restraining order against a person's constitutional rights. That should be, because it's a constitutional right, a little more difficult. Trump responded with, or Mike, take the firearms first and then go to court. Think I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. Now, here's the problem with taking away due process in general, not just when it comes to constitutional rights, but in general. Due process is a slippery slope. If everybody has due process, then everybody has due process. If the most cruel, vicious, twisted, evil person in the world gets due process, then everybody gets due process. But if you start saying, this person doesn't get due process, this person doesn't get due process, this person doesn't get due process. First we say the evil, vile, vicious, sicko, insane people don't get due process. Then we say, well, just the evil people don't get due process. Then we say, well, just the really bad people don't get due process. You see where I'm going with this? Using mental illness as there's a word that I'm looking for. Using mental illness as an instant rubber stamp on the removal of your constitutional rights is incredibly dangerous, because who is mentally ill? By whose authority shall we declare these people mentally ill? And that is not as dangerous a point to start as saying dangerous people must have their constitutional rights revoked. Because who is dangerous? Who gets to decide who is dangerous? We live in a time when taking a piece of paper and taping it to a flagpole that says the wrong words makes you a dangerous person. Putting a flyer up that has the wrong words on it makes you a dangerous person. Do you now have your constitutional right to preservation of life revoked because you are a, quote, dangerous person? For saying the wrong words on a YouTube video, you are a dangerous person. Do you now have your constitutional rights revoked because you're a dangerous person? For thinking the wrong thoughts, you're a dangerous person. Even if you are not thinking those thoughts in a serious manner. I was watching a video yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yes, it was yesterday. A student who was practicing for I believe it was a academic decathlon, was challenged to write 2 papers on an issue, and the papers were supposed to persuade the reader to either side of the issue they selected. This student chose white supremacy. He wrote a paper in favor of white supremacy, and he wrote a paper opposing white supremacy. And that student's academic career is in jeopardy because a racist person decided to leak and tweet the pro-white supremacy side of that essay. That person, when they realized that the pro-white supremacy side of the essay was an exercise, was an intellectual exercise, they said, it doesn't matter. You need to punish the person that wrote these words, and the context doesn't matter. Is that the kind of person that we should let decide who is dangerous and who is deserving of their Second Amendment rights? I say no. Due process must be for everyone. If we're going to take away people's Second Amendment rights, they deserve due process. And I'm not bashful in saying that the statement, they deserve due process, is relevant irrespective of context. Because if one person doesn't deserve due process, then perhaps none of us do. That's going to do it at this point. I hope you enjoyed the video, not necessarily what's being talked about. If you're as upset as I am, let me know in the comments. If you agree with the president, let me know in the comments. I want to hear everybody's opinion on this. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Hit subscribe, hit the bell for notifications if you want to see future videos. There might be another video coming later this evening. You'll have to subscribe to find out. Until then, have a good day. God bless. Oh, I almost forgot. Molon labe.